Imagine a machine designed with one singular, ruthless purpose: to move. This is a biological marvel, engineered over millions of years to traverse continents, hunt down prey through sheer endurance, and survive in the harshest environments on Earth. This machine is so advanced that it generates its own energy, repairs its own microscopic circuits, and even upgrades its own operating system. But there is a catch. The warranty is void if the machine stops moving. It only repairs itself when it is in motion. Now, imagine taking that high-performance machine and parking it in a dark garage for 12, maybe 14 hours a day. Day after day, year after year. It doesn't just sit there. The gears begin to seize. The fluids turn into sludge. The internal wiring starts to fray.
It begins to rust from the inside out. That machine is you. And that garage, that is your chair, your couch, your car seat. We live in a world that has engineered movement out of our lives, and because of this, we have fallen for a dangerous misconception. We tend to think that unless we are gasping for air and dripping in sweat in a gym, it doesn't count. But that mindset is not just wrong, it is biologically lethal. Beneath the surface, the difference between sitting and walking is not just about burning a few extra calories. It is the difference between a body that is thriving and a body that is slowly, silently shutting down. There is a concept that researchers call the sedentary cascade. It sounds dramatic, but the biology backs it up. The moment you sit down, a timer starts. Within a surprisingly short amount of time, the electrical activity in your legs, the largest muscle group in your body, goes silent. It is like pulling the plug on a lamp. Because those muscles aren't contracting, the production of a crucial enzyme called lipoprotein lipase drops by nearly 90%. Very few people are aware of this detail, yet it is the hinge upon which your metabolic health swings. This enzyme is your body's vacuum cleaner for fat in the bloodstream. When it stops working, your blood turns from a free-flowing river into a viscous sludge of unspent fuel and triglycerides. You are essentially telling your biochemistry that the hunt is over. You are signaling that the day is done, and it is time to store everything as fat and plaque. But here's the good news.
You have a factory reset button, and it does not require a gym membership. It sounds simple enough. Just stand up and walk. But we all know the resistance. You know exactly what I am talking about. You are sitting on the couch. Maybe you have just finished a meal, or you have been working for hours. You know you should move, but your body feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds. Gravity feels stronger. This is the first barrier, and it is vital to realize that this is not just you being lazy. This is a survival mechanism. We call it the energy conservation instinct. For 99% of human history, calories were scarce. Starvation was a real and constant threat. Your ancient brain, the part responsible for keeping you alive, is wired to save energy whenever possible.
When you are comfortable, it screams at you to stay put. It whispers, "Why burn fuel when we don't have to?" But you override that voice. You stand up. You put on your shoes. You open the door. In the first 5 minutes, your body is protesting. You might feel stiff. Your breathing might feel a bit shallow. But then, right around the 6 to 10 minute mark, a biological ignition sequence begins. Your heart rate ticks up, not to a panic level, but to a steady, rhythmic drumbeat. This signals your circulatory system to dilate. And this brings us to the first major transformation, the sugar flush. Think of your bloodstream like a major highway system. After a meal, or when you are stressed, that highway is jammed with traffic. The cars are glucose molecules, sugar. When you are sedentary, that traffic isn't moving. It is gridlock. And just like real traffic, this gridlock causes damage to the road. High blood sugar scrapes and inflames the lining of your arteries. Under normal conditions, your pancreas has to pump out a massive amount of insulin to scream at your cells to open up and let the sugar in. But in our modern world, our cells have become deaf to the screaming. They become insulin resistant. This is the path to type 2 diabetes. However, walking unlocks a back door to this process. When your muscles contract rhythmically, step after step, they activate a completely different pathway. They unlock the doors to your cells without needing nearly as much insulin.
Your muscles start sucking that sugar out of the bloodstream to use for immediate fuel. It clears the traffic instantly. The gridlock dissolves. Research from the American Diabetes Association has shown that a mere 15-minute walk after a meal can curb blood sugar spikes more effectively than some leading medications. You aren't just moving through space, you are cleaning the highway. This first shift is powerful for your waistline, but what happens next has a much bigger impact on your state of mind, and specifically, for the men watching, your masculinity. As you pass the 20-minute mark, the benefits shift from your muscles to your hormones. We live in a state of chronic, low-grade emergency. It is the email notification that dings at 9 p.m. It is the traffic jam.
It is the relentless news cycle. This keeps our bodies flooded with cortisol, the stress hormone. When you are stressed but sitting still, your body is confused. It feels the fight or flight chemicals surging through your veins, but it senses that you aren't moving. It thinks you are frozen in front of a predator. It thinks you are trapped. This breeds anxiety, and crucially, it suppresses testosterone. Cortisol and testosterone are biologically antagonistic. Think of them like a seesaw. When one goes up, the other tends to go down. When you are chronically stressed and sedentary, you are chemically castrating yourself. Walking breaks this loop. It signals your primitive brain that you are moving away from the danger. You are taking action. You are navigating the terrain.
The cortisol levels drop, the adrenaline stabilizes. And because the stress hormone is finally receding, your testosterone has the space to recover and function. The mental fog that has been clouding your judgment all day begins to lift. You shift from feeling groggy and overwhelmed to feeling alert and capable. You are no longer the prey frozen in the grass. You are the hunter on the move. But while your blood sugar is stabilizing and your stress is melting away, something even more profound is happening upstairs. Something that literally changes the physical structure of your brain. This is the part that sounds like science fiction, but it is pure, documented biology. For decades, neuroscientists believed that the adult brain was fixed.
They thought that once you reached a certain age, you had a set number of neurons, and as you aged, they slowly died off. We thought it was a one-way ticket to decline. We were wrong. We now know that the brain is plastic. It can change. It can grow. But it needs a catalyst, and that catalyst is sustained movement. When you walk for 30 to 40 minutes, your brain triggers the production of a protein called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. I want you to memorize that name because it is the most valuable substance your body can produce. If your brain cells are a garden, BDNF is the miracle grow. Without it, the connections between cells wither and die. With it, the garden blooms. BDNF promotes neurogenesis, the birth of brand new brain cells. And here is the kicker.
This growth doesn't happen just anywhere. It happens primarily in the hippocampus. The hippocampus is the processor of your life's experiences. It is responsible for memory and emotional regulation. Crucially, it is usually the first structure to shrink as we age, leading to the memory lapses and cognitive decline we associate with getting older. By walking daily, you are flooding this area with BDNF. You are rewriting your genetic destiny, shielding your mind against the erosion of time. This explains the walker's paradox. We often think we need to sit still to focus. We think we need to chain ourselves to the desk to solve a hard problem. But science shows the opposite. To rest your mind and to sharpen it, You must move your feet.
Have you ever noticed that you get your best ideas in the shower, or while driving, or yes, while walking? This is because of a state called transient hypofrontality. That is a fancy term that means the part of your brain that overthinks, worries, and judges, the prefrontal cortex, takes a nap. It quiets down. This allows the other parts of your brain to talk to each other freely. It connects disparate ideas. This is why Steve Jobs insisted on walking meetings. This is why Charles Darwin built a thinking path at his home. They weren't just exercising their legs. They were engineering a state of flow that sitting cannot replicate. Now let's travel down from the brain to the engine room, the heart, the vascular system, and the joints.
We all know cardio is good for the heart, but let's get specific. It is not just about pumping blood. When you walk, the blood flow increases, and as it rushes through your arteries, it creates friction against the vessel walls. This friction is a signal. It tells the lining of your arteries to release a gas called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is a vasodilator. It relaxes the muscles around your arteries, causing them to expand. Imagine a stiff, dried-out garden hose being turned into a flexible, wide pipe. This expansion irons out the stiffness in your vascular system. Your blood pressure drops naturally. The workload on your heart decreases. You are literally making your arteries younger. But right about now, I can hear a common objection forming in your mind.
This all sounds great, you might say, but I can't walk that much. My knees are bad. My hips hurt. I don't want to wear out my joints. This brings us to the single biggest myth in the fitness industry, the wear and tear myth. We treat our bodies like cars. We think that our joints are like tires, and they have a set number of miles on them before they go bald. We think that to save our knees, we should rest them. But the human body is not a car. It is an anti-fragile biological system. It gets stronger when you use it, and it degrades when you don't. Here is the anatomy lesson your doctor might not have explained. Your cartilage, that white shiny cushioning in your knees and hips, has no blood supply. It is avascular. It has no veins delivering oxygen and nutrients to it, and no veins taking waste away. So, how does it stay alive? It acts like a sponge. It relies on a fluid called synovial fluid. The only way to get fresh, nutrient-rich fluid into your cartilage and to squeeze the dirty, waste-filled fluid out is through compression and decompression. When you take a step, gravity and muscle force squeeze the sponge, pushing out the waste. When you lift your foot, the pressure releases, and the sponge sucks in the fresh nutrients. Step, squeeze, lift, absorb. Walking is the pump. If you don't walk, if you sit to save your knees, you are starving your cartilage. It dries out. It becomes brittle. It begins to crack. That is what leads to arthritis. The movement you are afraid of is actually the medicine you need. Walking is the lubrication. It is the oil for your rusty hinges. But the benefits extend into systems you probably never even considered. Let's talk about your anxiety and your immune system. There is a phenomenon known as optic flow. When you walk forward through an environment, objects move past your peripheral vision. You pass a tree, a parked car, a building. This visual streaming sends a direct, hardwired signal to the brain's fear center, the amygdala. When your eyes register forward motion, it tells the amygdala, we are moving, we are navigating, we are not trapped. This quiets the anxiety circuits. It is a physiological off switch for stress that sitting still simply cannot replicate.
And while your mind calms down, your internal defense system wakes up. Your immune system relies on the lymphatic system, a network of tubes that carries white blood cells to clear out toxins. But unlike your blood, which has the heart to pump it, the lymphatic system has no pump. It is a passive system. It relies entirely on muscle contraction to move the fluid. If you sit, your lymph sits. It stagnates. Your immune soldiers get stuck in the barracks. When you walk, The rhythmic contraction of your calf muscles acts as a second heart, pumping lymph fluid against gravity, circulating your immune cells to where they need to be. You are patrolling your own body, looking for invaders, just by taking a stroll. We have talked about the brain, the heart, the joints, and the hormones. But there is one final change. A shift that goes beyond biology and touches on the very core of who you are. This is the shift in identity. When you look at the blue zones, those rare pockets of the world like Okinawa or Sardinia, where people routinely live to be over 100 years old, you find something interesting. They don't have gym memberships. They don't run marathons. They just walk. Movement is woven into the fabric of their existence. They have unlocked the centenarian secret. They prove that the key to longevity isn't intensity, it is consistency. Research even indicates that this consistency impacts your DNA. It helps preserve telomeres, the protective caps at the end of your chromosomes. By walking, you are essentially slowing down the ticking clock of your cells. You are buying time. But this only works if you do it. The knowledge alone changes nothing. The action changes everything. One walk might not feel like much. You might not see the change in the mirror tonight. But 365 walks? That is a completely different body. That is a sharper, more resilient mind. That is a happier human. There is a Latin phrase, solvitur ambulando. It translates to, it is solved by walking. It refers to the idea that problems, whether they are physical, mental, or philosophical, tend to untangle themselves when we set our bodies in motion. We are born walkers. It is written into our design. When you stop moving, you are fighting against millions of years of evolution.
But when you start, when you open that door and take that first step, you aren't just burning calories. You are coming home to your body. So, here is the challenge. Don't overthink this. You don't need a plan. You just need to open the door. Reclaim the machinery of your body before the rust sets in. Earlier, we asked why this simple act changes everything, and now you have the complete explanation. You understand the sugar flush, the hormone reset, the brain growth, and the joint repair. You have the biological roadmap. Now the execution is entirely up to you. If you want to start this journey, remember, you don't need to buy expensive gear. You don't need to sign up for a membership. You just need to open the door.
If this video gave you the push you needed to take that first step, hit the like button. Not for the algorithm, but so this message can reach someone else who is currently stuck on the couch, waiting for a sign. Subscribe to stay with us on this journey to a better life. We are building a community of people who are taking control of their biology, one step at a time. And if you are ready to dig even deeper, if you want to learn how to fix your sleep or optimize your diet to pair with your new walking habit, click on the video on the screen right now. It is the perfect next step. I'll see you there. Now, get up and go for a walk.